Hey everyone, Staci Wallace here, WarriorDNA, live every Sunday at 5 p.m. Welcome tonight. We've got a pretty cool topic. Did you guys see the fight last night? Even if you are not a supporter or a follower of MMA or boxing, you want to hear what I got to say tonight, because I'm going to show you some leadership tips and principles that are going to blow your mind. Anytime somebody breaks a world record, or anytime somebody's like crashing down the internet or pay-per-view, or anytime somebody's getting paid $300 to $350 million for anything, you need to wake up. Allow yourself to be awakened. Don't be prejudicial. Don't be emotional about what the situation is. You need to look at it for a natural, supernatural correlation of what's taking place in your life. And we're going to take a look at the Mayweather-McGregor fight from last night. Many of you guys know that I was a black belt in karate, mixed martial arts. Absolutely love the game. I love the sport. But more, and there's a lot of stuff I don't like about it. Just the sweet, precious missionary spirit of me does not like people hitting each other in the face. However, there are a lot of principles. Even the Bible talked about, if you're going to run a race, run to win. Don't box as if you're boxing the air. So obviously there have been contact sports for a very, 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 very long time in history. And so go ahead and settle in. We're going to learn some leadership principles tonight about what happened last night. But before I go into that, two things I want to do. Number one, I want to give my respect and let you know my prayers are with the people in Houston right now, the people that are down in Texas. We are praying for you. Again, another natural, supernatural correlation. I'm not ready to speak about it, but I'm getting a lot of downloads just out of what's going on right now, even with the hurricane and the rain and the pressure building, everything that's going on, all the lives that are having to be rescued. There's a lot there, but I just felt like it's just too premature right now, too fresh. This storm is going to hover, only moving at about 1 mile per hour. It's going to hover for quite some time. And so perhaps next week I'll be ready to speak into that and what's in my spirit on that and how that relates to you, what you can see out of it. But today I am ready. So first off, let me just say we are saying a prayer over Texas, a prayer over all of the families that have been impacted, that have been affected. We pray that you are covered, that whatever is being torn from you right now, that you demand back sevenfold once you catch the thief that comes in your life. And even tonight, you're going to hear that sometimes the hardest punches we take in life are not sent to destroy us, but they're there to prepare us for something that's bigger, better, stronger in the future. If you can survive it, then you can benefit from it. Let me say that again. If you can survive it, you can benefit from it. So we're going to look into that here next week. But right now, I want to do this. I just want to say a huge thank you. All of you guys that like it, comment on this right now, just whether it's over there or down there, wherever it's at for you, if you're on a phone or on a computer. We appreciate you liking it, but more importantly, leaving your comments, letting me know, how is this feeding you? I love that. Hey, Denise. Hey, Joe. Matthias. Awesome. I love seeing you guys. Sheila Kelsey, Barbara Dryden, Jody Weersing, Heidi Doyen, Matt. We just love you guys. I love that we got Matt and Terry in here today. I'm so excited that you guys aren't going to believe this, but every week I ask Denise to pull a name of who the like and share winner is of last week. This makes it really easy for shipping. But you guys were, actually you, Terry, was the name that she pulled. So congratulations. We're excited about that. And so every week we pull a winner, and this is what we're going to be doing consistently, just giving out to you free resources that we believe can speak into your heart. I got a great one for you guys after tonight. It's going to be great. But anyhow, we are excited that you're here. I'm going to jump right into our training. If you like what you are listening to, please share it. You would be surprised when I start seeing it get up over 20, 30, 40 shares. What I know is we're impacting people outside of our reach. You have friends that I don't know. You have businesses and leaders that I don't know. But what we want to do is we want to speak into people's lives that they don't have to live a life separated from church and state, separated from church and business, but you can be a marketplace minister right where you're at. We want you, whatever business you're with, whatever company you're with, whatever job you're on, we want you to be light in darkness. We want you to reflect God right there. So we're giving you tidbits, things that can maybe awaken your consciousness when you go to work tomorrow. Today's the day to hit the reset button, say, you know what, I can't fix what happened last week, but I can go into this week with a new perspective and a new beginning. Okay, let's get started on marathon versus sprint mindset. Now, this is all about how to work smarter instead of harder. Okay, so if you watched the fight last night, chances are many of you were McGregor fans. Now, knowing that my background in martial arts and karate and my love, and honestly, I'm a big McGregor fan. I love where he came from. I like his story. Obviously, I like his spirit, and there's a lot of things I don't like, so let's just be clear so y'all don't judge me on that. It doesn't mean that we share all of our core values together. However, what I have to say is when I dissect a sport or I dissect a performance or I dissect something that's going on in the marketplace, I look to chew up the meat and spit out the bones. I want to get the good stuff. So last night something happened, and if you weren't a part of it, my mom came over today and she was like, what's the big deal? I was like, okay, it was a huge deal. Whether you like boxing or not, or whether you like martial arts or not, it was a very big deal. First off, the reason why they were delaying it is because it was overbearing the systems. How many people were watching, tuning in last night? The hundreds of millions and millions and millions of dollars that were being generated. But here is what is incredible. So Mayweather, Floyd Mayweather, obviously you guys know he is a superstar, historic boxer. If you don't know anything about him, just look it up. He was 49-0 going in to that fight last night. Now McGregor, as you know, he's been a champion in multiple types of mixed martial arts, but he's not sitting on top of his game right now because he got defeated. So he needed a comeback story, and more importantly, what better than to have a comeback story out of your profession? So even though it's a sport, it's not the same sport when you're in mixed martial arts. Even though you box, it's kind of like being a triathlete, right? You're good at three things because they're all together. But if you were to take a triathlete and just have them just compete in swimming, chances are they're not going to beat an Olympic swimmer like somebody who just focuses on swimming. In other words, you can be the jack of all trades and master of none. So this was one of those situations, and I was watching all my friends who were like emotionally into it, but they didn't really have the education behind it. They didn't know Mayweather. They didn't understand the sport. They don't understand boxing versus mixed martial arts. So I was watching all these posts about how McGregor's going to kill him, and McGregor's going to take him out, and McGregor's got the eye of the tiger. And I'm like going, but McGregor doesn't have the experience. He might have the EQ, the emotional quotient right now, but he doesn't have the IQ. He doesn't have the intelligent quotient that comes with 21 years of championship boxing. And so when we went into it last night, I said to my husband, we were sitting on the cuddle couch together with it like that. We were sitting on the cuddle couch together, and the minute that Mayweather walked out, and first off, I saw that McGregor came out, and you know, he's got his normal arms going, a little awkward. But what happened was Mayweather came out, and immediately his posture told me he's going deep. In other words, he's not going to try to do this fast. He's going to let McGregor wear out. He's going to see what McGregor's got, and then he's going to play ball. So how do you know that? Because he immediately postured himself, number one, watch this, to dissect the situation. Now, another way to say this is to count the cost, right? So there's actually a scripture that goes well with this, and it's not the one that says don't box the air. It's actually the one that's in Luke 14, and it says count the cost before you build a building. Because you don't want to run out of construction materials in the middle of the build, right? There's also scripture that says count the cost before you wage war. Why is that? Because a lot of people think, man, I got this. I'm going to start my own business, and I'm going to be a superstar. I have people all the time saying, I'm going to do what you do. And what they don't know the price you have to pay in order to be able to win on that level. right? So a lot of people want to get married, but they don't want to pay the price of marriage. They like the concept. It's clever, but they don't want to pay the price tag. And so, think about people that start their business. I'm going to start my business, and they think it's easy to make 7 figures a year. They think it's easy to make 8 figures a year just because somebody else that came from the same background as them did it. But they're not counting the cost. When Mayweather talks about you probably should watch the post-play of his report to all the reporters after the fight. It was really remarkable. I recommend Mayweather's. I don't recommend McGregor's. He was a little drunk and a little foul-mouthed. But Mayweather's was very professional, very eloquent, and very mature. But of course he won, right? 50-0. No one's ever beat him. It's a pretty powerful place to be. But what's beautiful about it is he talked about the price he has had to pay since he was 19 years old and got his first big ticket. It was $100,000, right? And so he said, I work hard every single day. He said, somebody that thinks they can step into what we do as boxers, even though they've boxed, he says it's a different game. And so he had nothing negative whatsoever to say about McGregor. Nothing negative, because that was just huge kudos to McGregor for getting in there. But what he did say is the price tag that he had to pay was immense. And here's what I want to talk to you. If you're starting a business and you're feeling tired right now, okay, just don't quit. Because you've got to be willing to take some hits before you're actually going to develop the muscle tone, before you actually develop the skin tone. You want to be cut a few times. You want your skin to bleed. You want your body to be prepped. You want to get calluses. One of the things that most people, they don't like to hurt. But the thing about it is, in boxing, for example, it's the hits that prepare you and give you the certainty for your next battle. So number one is count the cost. He said, what I do is, number one, I dissected the situation. He said, I watched McGregor's style. I watched what he did, and I realized I knew he was going to be awkward. I knew he was going to probably come around the back and do a lot of chicken pecking on the back of my head, which is illegal in boxing. So he counted the cost. Now, for many of you who were watching it last night, maybe you didn't count the cost. Maybe you didn't know there was a contract that said this was boxing only. Now, in that same fight, if there was grappling and jiu-jitsu and taekwondo available, I have a feeling McGregor would have taken him quickly. But it wasn't. It was a straight-up boxing match. And so when you are able to look at something with clarity, you get a different perspective than if you just generalize. You want to do the same thing in your business. Don't try to be the jack of all trades going into a specific industry. Find out who is the best of the best at what you do. Dissect what they do, and then determine how can you do what they do. And then practice, 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 practice. So once you've counted the cost, you've dissected the situation, you've looked at what's going to be required of you, then number two is you create a plan. Now, what is that plan? I watched this last night. I love Mayweather's plan was very clear when he stepped into the ring, and he goes up and he's holding a high guard, right? So he's like this the whole time, right? Tight high guard. Now, what is a high guard? Well, a few things. Number one, a high guard, you think it's just about defense, but really what it's saying to the opponent is, I want to know what you got. I'm not coming after you. I want to feel what you've got. So what Mayweather was doing right out of the bat was saying, hit me with your hardest punches. I want to know how hard you can hit. And so he was allowing the penetration of some punches to him so that he could assess the situation. You need to assess the situation. A lot of people quit in business when they get a no. Instead of going up with a high guard going, I know I'm going to get hit. I know I'm going to get no's. I know I'm going to get opposition. Be okay with the opposition. It only makes you smarter. It only increases your IQ. And here's the thing. Mayweather is 50-0 not because he's got just a good EQ, but he's got a great IQ. He approaches boxing like you should approach your business. Count the cost, create a strategy, then fight your fight. Know what your plan is. So first off, he went straight in. And if you know what that means is he was not laying back on McGregor. He went in with a high guard, and another thing that a high guard gives you to do is not only have the positioning, but it also allows you a shorter distance on your jab, okay? So if you're here and you've got your jab, you're at a shorter distance on your jab, plus it allows you to do something and it allows you to press in. So he came out and immediately on McGregor, he pressed in. I want to encourage you to press in on your business right now. Don't sit back and wait for business to come to you. Press in. Expect the punches. Expect the no's. Go ahead and take the hits. Why is that? You know, there's a book that's called In a Pit with a Lion on a Snowy Day. And it talks about this guy that actually, instead of running away from a lion, he pursues the lion into the pit. What is that called? That's called certainty that outweighs the uncertainty of anything around you. Mayweather, he postured immediately with certainty that he said, basically by his body language, I want to feel your hardest hits. Once he felt McGregor's best, he's like, I can easily go 12 rounds on this, right? So he postured himself then to go deep. What does that mean? He postured himself for the marathon versus the sprint. He was ready to take McGregor past his distance. What was his distance? 25 minutes. He knew if I can get him past 25 minutes, he will be so tired, there's no way he can take what I've got after 25 minutes. Why is that? Because a lot of people thought, you know what, McGregor was doing really good. And he did. He did a great job. Honestly, hats off to McGregor. It was amazing. But McGregor's hardest hit on any day pales in comparison to the hardest hitters in boxing. I mean, think about it. Mayweather, 49-0, never a loss, has taken the hardest hits in boxing. He has been cut. He's bled by the fastest and strongest straight-up hitters in the world. So once he assessed the fact that there was going to be a little bit of awkwardness, there was going to be a little bit of illegal fighting, he's like, I got this. And then he was able to pace himself and stay on plan. Now, if you watch the post-play, this is what's really great and how to apply to your business. If you watch the post-play, you will hear that not only did he have a plan, but he fought his fight. Now, his dad, of course, as you guys may know this story, his dad was incarcerated till he was about 21 years old. When I say fight your fight, I mean, don't get distracted when people start telling you no. Don't get distracted when you start getting hits. Don't get distracted when voices start going off. Don't get distracted when something, goes weird. Like, that was a weird fight for Mayweather last night because he was like, McGregor was switch hitting on him, right? So he had to adjust to that, but he continued to fight his fight. An enemy or opposition will try to get you to get off your game and onto theirs. The enemy does this against your business all the time, trying to make you question yourself. Is this really good for me? Should I really be doing this? Well, listen, when you stick to the plan, they had a plan going in. Mayweather and his father, they had a plan going in. The plan was come in, hold tight, have a high guard, press, in other words, go straight in, and then hold till later rounds. In other words, go deep. Take them deep into the rounds. They knew that if they could do that, they could ultimately take the win. So the number 4 thing is silence the voices. Now, last night, you would probably know that there were a lot of people cheering for McGregor. In fact, they're like he brought the whole country over with him. And the question was asked to Mayweather, did that bother you when you heard all of them, the singing and the chanting? And here's what his response was. He goes, no, I'm not even listening to them. They're outside the ring. I have one thing I'm focused on, and that's winning the fight. So I want to encourage you, take something from that, because there's going to be a ton of voices. You know what? You picked the wrong business. You know what? You're doing the wrong thing. You know what? There's other girls out there. Get distracted. Things that are going to come against your marriage, things that are going to come against your leadership, things that are going to get you to question yourself. That's when you've got to hold that your certainty outweighs the uncertainty of the voices around you, that you continue to press forward. You continue to be who you are and don't quit just because of the voices around you. Another thing that he said, somebody in the press conference said, so tell me, what are you going to do now? What are you going to quit? Are you going to give up? Or are you really going to come back? Because obviously he was retired, and he said he was retired, but he came back. And I like this. This is number 5. Don't be a fool. He said, you know, in my life, I've done a lot of foolish things. I think we all have. And he says, you know, we've all been been foolish at some point. And he says, but let me tell you something. I might be foolish at times, but I am not a fool. He says, when there was, now get this is why I want you to recognize and think about what happened last night. He made $300 to $350 million on one fight he knew he could win. He wouldn't have done that fight if he thought he was going to lose and all of a sudden go out 49-1. He knew he could win. He was absolutely certain. He counted the cost. He broke his own records. He holds all the records with pay-per-view and Showtime and all of that. He broke the records and he came out not only victorious, but he came out stinking rich again on top of every... So is it worth the punches? Yeah, you've got to be willing to take punches in order to increase the value of what you represent. See, the hits of your past, whatever the hits are, all of the hits of his other 49 big fights prepared him to know himself, to know his abilities, to know what he was going to need to do in that fight. The fights that you've fought, the pains, the chaos, even those of you that are going through it right now down in Houston and down in Texas, is the pain that you persevere through has the potential to strengthen you with certainty that, you know, if I can survive that, if I can survive those 49 hardest hitters in the world, like De La Hoya and all of them, if I can take those guys, then I can take anything. I can take what a mixed martial artist is going to bring me. Maybe you've survived cancer. Maybe you've survived broken relationships. Maybe you've survived broken businesses. And I want to tell you this. When you have a setback, don't take a step back, but get ready for your comeback, because sometimes a setback is nothing but a set up to prepare you for greater days, better things, and a finest hour that is in store for you. Right now, you have an ability to make history in your own life. You have an ability to take everything that's come against you and say that which didn't kill me only makes me better. I'm still a huge McGregor fan. I have to give mad respect to Mayweather and what he did. I think it's incredible. Although there's a lot of things, I'd love to see those guys come off with a lot of love and not so much ego right now, because you guys know I'm big about talking about separating from ego. But I have to look and dissect into a natural, supernatural correlation to realize the hits of our life. Number one, count the cost. Number two, create a plan. Number three, fight your fight. Number four, tune out the voices. And number five, don't be a fool. If there's $350 million on it, take a hit or two. I love you guys. Please share, connect with other people, give us comments below. We'll see you next week. Remember, now is the time. This is the place, and you are the one to help us make life better for many. Peace out, everyone.